the power lifter. So this was in Canada. I'm not going to beat around the bush. It was a man. It was a insecure, pathetic man who suddenly said, I'm going to identify as a woman and enter a sport that is clearly, purely, gender-wise, there's a huge advantage to being male when you go into that powerlifting. There's no beating around the bush. It's not a matter of opinion. God, the loony left likes to tell us to follow the science. Well, let's talk about science. Men tend to be stronger than women. That's why we broke up athletic events on gender. So this man came in and he didn't just beat the women who'd spent all that time, did all that work, all that dedication, training for this event. He didn't just beat her a little. So he lifted, and I guess it's something where you squat and deadlift. I don't know. I don't do all that stuff. You can tell by my build. I'm sure most of the women in that event, the real women, would still outlift and beat the snot out of me. And that's fine. But when you're getting to the high levels of these things, men who do that similar training will outperform the women. He outperformed it. So by 200 pounds over the next closest woman, 200 pounds. Like it just completely removed the element of competition whatsoever. So that's just absurd. Yeah, 597 pounds versus the next person's 387. What an insult. What an insult. And that we even have to discuss it. That we even have to say, this is absurd. This is unfair. This is an actual assault against women. This is getting towards the end game of the woke. This is how dumb they are. This really is. I mean, the woke began with women back in the 60s and 70s when they weren't getting rights that they should have, when they were being underpaid for the same job that men were doing and things like that. There were rights that were being abused. Women were being left to hang if a husband took off on them, things like that. But now it's come all the way around, and the woman loses her rights as long as a man says, you know what, I think today I'm going to identify as a woman. We're not even talking about somebody who's dedicated a life to being trans. Not talking about somebody who's had, of course, some of the surgical or drug, transitioning or on any of those things, change their lifestyle. They just have to say, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. That's nuts. Yeah, I'm going to lay off the nut thing for a bit here. But, self-identifying, no, it's crazy. And at least some of these sporting associations are saying that's enough. But there's going to be pushback. I'm forgetting some of the names, but the case in the States with that man who's down there swimming and blowing all the women out of the water as far as the races go, defeating them all over the place down there. And one of the competing women dared to speak out. She said, this is nuts. I can't compete with this guy. And plus, he's standing around in the change room. I turn around and there's male parts behind my head because this is a fully intact man. I'm not going to call him a her. Somebody who identifies as a her, who's truly trans, wants to live that way, absolutely. But this clown, no, this is an insecure, pathetic wretch who couldn't make it in his own gender competitions. He has a girlfriend, by the way. So he thought, I'll just go beat the women. It is almost a form of beating women. And we saw that case that I guess it did turn out there was some truth to it. There's a guy joining a women's rugby team. We're supposed to deny reality. We're supposed to say there isn't an inherent advantage. Of course there is.